Alright, I got a bone to pick. Not particularly with Avataryaya, but just the topic in general. I'm really tired of this conversation about auto combos and accessibility shit, like the things that makes fighting games easier. When I say accessibility, I mean the mechanics that devs put in their games to make games easier for newcomers to get into. I'm not talking about like the things that help people with disabilities play fighting games. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about auto combos. I'm talking about comeback mechanics. I'm talking about stuff like that. Things that are made so that to even the playing field between newcomers and veteran players, however the fuck you're supposed to do that. I'm tired of this conversation. And I'm sorry if it looks like I'm picking on Avataryaya specifically, but he's like a perfect example of the type of people of the people who say the type of shit that I can't stand in this whole discussion. And this video is also a good example of why I hate this conversation. And I'm going to go through it, I'm going to play it, I'm going to break down everything he says, sentence by sentence, and hopefully you'll understand where I'm coming from. But we gotta stop this. We gotta stop this, and I'm gonna show you why.
I've been playing 2XKO since 2023. From EVO 2023 to Combo Breaker 2024, various other events and tournaments, and EVO 2024, I've had a pretty much considerable amount of time playing this game. And before I go any further, I want to say this isn't alpha, right? Y'all don't gotta tear the game apart. Say it.
Okay, let's start there. I'm not teasing you, Avatar, but this is not an alpha. They call it an alpha. This is not what an alpha is. This is a beta. This is basically a beta. The game is not that far from being done. He even says it later on, like, oh, the game's like nine years to a year away. Like, that's pretty fucking close. That's not too far in terms of like done ability in this game. I genuinely feel like there are bugs, yes, but they could release this game right now. They could. Like they absolutely could. And like I don't know why they're calling it a closed alpha. Like, this is not what an alpha is. I don't know what this mass gaslighting is about, where we're trying to like change the definition of an alpha and a beta. But it's not an alpha. That's not what this is.
This criticism, going with your day and cook. I'm tired of Twitter, okay? I just had to say that. Alright, this game's probably nowhere near completion. It's probably 9 months to maybe a year out at this point. But I do think it's important to provide your constructive criticism on the game without being negative and just writing off Riot because it's a game that you know Riot's popular for. But
what is the beef with being negative? I think people don't like people being negative because it makes them feel bad. Well, too fucking bad. If what I'm saying is true, then yeah, like, it's true. Deal with it. Fuck the positivity and the optimism and all that. Like, no, if your shit's fucked up, then your shit's fucked up. That's just the way it is.
I think I ran into my first critical problem with 2XKO that I started feeling very like weird about the game now. Don't get me wrong, I still think the game is beautiful, but we gotta talk about the fuse system. Shout out to Scooch. He made a video talking about his frustrations with 2XKO probably being too hard, and a lot of aspects in that video I really do agree. But then he brought up something about the post fuse.
Newer players to pick up and play this game instantly, but it's so strange that it takes up your fuse spot and puts players at an immediate disadvantage against people who use any other fuse.
So yeah, after hearing that, I have to 100% agree with him. I don't personally vibe with it.
Alright, hold on. So what makes this confusing is that he's throwing in points from other videos that I didn't watch. So, like, I don't know the full scope of that conversation, but what I got out of it is that the other guy doesn't like the fact that the auto combo fuse gives you an immediate disadvantage against the players who are not using the auto combo fuse. And it's like, yeah, I think the fuse system shouldn't be giving you any kind of advantage in the first place. It's supposed to be like grooves. It's supposed to be like, what perk do you want out of these other perks? And everybody gets a perk. Like, In auto combo, like you're getting, like you're granting yourself the ability to not have to execute combos. Yeah. What do you mean a disadvantage? You're giving yourself an advantage. You don't have to use your brain. You don't actually have to learn the fighting game. You just press a button and you get your combos. What are you talking about? Where's the disadvantage? I don't... What? I don't think we're talking about the same thing. Like... does he think... Like, what is it that he wants? Does he want auto combos and to not take the fuse spot? Does he want that to just be the default way you do combos in the game? What does that accomplish? All it does is just make bread and butters for everybody super long and damaging. Like, with no trade-off? You want no trade-off? What do you mean? I don't... Hell no. What the hell are you talking about?
You're probably like, yo,
Y'all just get somebody that know how to play the game.
no, man. If you're on this channel, you know that the point of the content is tell people why this shit's fire and why you should play this fire shit. So no, that's not what I'm trying to do, man. So I spent most of my Saturday playing 2XKO with people of various different skill levels. From a person that's never touched a fighting game, from people that know a fighting game, from casuals that know how to execute something in a fighting game, and to people that have played or placed or even won top 8 at a tournament in a different fighting game. And I'll be straight up, I think the post fuse is not a fun time in 2XKO, especially if you're trying to play with a new person.
Why? Why? What's wrong with the pulse system?
It's so bad, it's a problem, and I'll explain why. When I was playing 2XKO with new friends and my friends that wanted to play fighting games for the first time, they were like, yo, I want to use auto combos. I was like, okay, cool, I can play on it, but I ain't really liking it because I don't like how the buttons work from the light, medium, heavy, and how auto combos work for once. And I realized when I said, hey, pick anything but pulse, a lot of them get demoralized. So then I backtrack instantly saying, you know what, fuck it, just pick pulse. And like playing with new players that want to pick pulse, especially when they learn the game, they feel like tag games are already overwhelming. The game is a 6-button fighter. It can be very hard to demoralize, especially when you value winning as a good time versus losing in fighting games.
I don't think anybody wants to lose. I think that's kind of a well-accepted, universal, agreed thing that nobody wants to lose. Of course you want to win. Are you gonna? Most of the time? No. No, you're not. And auto combos do not help you get there. Like, that was your fault. Like, your friend says they want to use auto combos. You should have just said no. Learn the fucking game, you filthy casual. You know, like, no. No, because, like, okay, because alright. I just pieced this together listening to this because I'm not in the beta, I don't have a code, I haven't played the game, I didn't know how this works. But I've pieced together listening to him. So, the pulse fuse operates for both players. So if you're playing a 2v2, and you have someone who's not very good at the game, and they want to use the pulse fuse because they want to do auto combos, that means you are also stuck doing auto combos. I don't know if pulse takes away your regular combos or changes your control scheme in any way. It just gives you access to auto combos. But if that's not the case, I mean, yeah, I guess that sucks, but then, like, don't pick pulse fuse. And tell your friend to suck it up and learn the game. You know? I don't know what else to tell you.
Games are a hard genre to get into, and to be honest with you, it's very mentally like tasking on.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I think that's the biggest lie that the FGC loves to propagate. Fighting games are not hard. Fighting games are not hard to get into. They are not. They're the equal amount to get into to any other genre except for maybe Souls-likes. Because Souls-likes are made to be difficult and hard to get into. I really wish the FGC as a whole would stop telling people that fighting games are hard when they are not. That's a lie. I've been playing fighting games since I was 4 years old. I wasn't good at fighting games until maybe in my mid to late 20s. I'm 33. I didn't get good at fighting games until roughly 2014. So like 23. Like 23 years old. But I've been playing them since I was a baby. At no point did me and my brother in my car seat with an unplugged Genesis controller in my hand get mad or upset when I lost in Street Fighter. Well, okay, I got mad and upset, but I kept playing. I kept playing because I enjoyed the game, because I was having fun. If I wasn't getting my ass beat by my brothers, I would be playing arcade mode by myself, and I would just be playing the video game. That's it. I didn't have, like, a scene. I didn't have a local scene growing up. I was born around the death of arcades, so I didn't have access to, like, people who are really good at the game to beat my ass and show me, like, how much I actually sucked. But that didn't matter to me. I was just having fun, fighting the computer, looking at all these cool characters do cool shit and do cool moves and stuff, and, like, learn how to do those things myself. For the longest time, I could not throw a fireball. And my brother learned really fast how to throw fireballs and do special moves, and he would never tell me. He wouldn't teach me how to do it. He refused to. It was like the thing that he had as a leg up over me. So he just never told me how to do it. And eventually I just figured it out on my own. By accident. And then eventually I learned how to start throwing fireballs and throwing tatsus regularly from playing the games. And there was like a summer where me, my brother, and my older cousin who brought his Dreamcast over, we spent that whole summer playing fucking Third Strike, Marvel 2, Plasma Sword, Project Justice, like all types of fighting games. Well, not all types, but mostly Capcom ones. But it was just a fun time. That is still that is still to this day like the biggest highlight of my life that summer, because it was just nothing but fighting games that whole summer. It was great. I didn't worry about like winning and losing. I mean, I did. Like, I wanted to beat my brother and my cousin. They're both older than me. But I didn't quit playing the games because, like, I wasn't winning. It just made me more determined to play even more and figure out how to fucking do this shit. And if you don't have that in you, then you're going to have a harder time getting into fighting games. Sure, you're going to get a harder time getting into fighting games than most. But that's only if you're coming in with the mindset of, oh, I want to win. It's like, no, you're not going to, no, that's not going to happen. Just play the game. Just play the game and have fun. Don't worry about it. If you're going to, the whole getting good shit, that'll come naturally. That'll come later down the line. Don't worry about it. Stop telling people from the outset, before they even get to try the game, that the game is going to be hard. That's the thing that's that's what makes it hard for people to get in the fighting game. Telling people that the game is hard. And that it's something that they have to figure out. No, just play it. Play the game. Have fun. Fuck.
The game, if you're not always winning. I've had moments like that with fighting games. I'm like, bro, I'm losing too much. I don't play this shit no more. Or like, I'm losing a lot. I can't identify why I'm losing a lot. And now I got a headache. And then I just turn this shit off.
Now, if you're talking about yourself, then it's probably because you've been playing fighting games for a long time. You're at a point where you expect that, like, I've been playing fighting games a long time. I should be, like, winning. It's like, well, first of all, 2XKO isn't even out. So, yeah, of course you're not going to be winning in this game. This game is new. You don't know how to play this shit. You're all trash. Everybody is trash. You're going to be losing a lot. But, like, when it comes to games that you've been playing for a long time, I bet you that you're not, like, in rookie rank in Street Fighter 6. I'm pretty sure in some of your previous videos that you hit master. Why isn't that like that's good? You're good at the fighting game. You're not going to win all the time though. You're just not. And if you go on a losing streak, then that happens. That happens. It happens to everybody. Like, that doesn't mean drop the game. You know? Like, not everybody can win. Stop thinking about winning. Stop. Just have fun. Just play the fucking video game.
Might not even play it for the next day because that mental stress of me trying to figure it out and not understanding is frustrating. I understand. I agree with y'all, especially early on when I was playing fighting games. If one of your partners on a team is of a veteran player in fighting games, I'm saying veteran loosely, like have knowledge to put stuff together and figure out stuff, it is not a fun time for that player. Rather, the new player is probably having fun if they're using posts because they just hitting things and things are happening, which that's the point of it. Then again, when they lose...
I lost. Okay, hold on. I guess this sentence isn't over. I'm trying to figure out what the hell he's trying to get at. Back up. Let's try this again. I probably went too far.
And saying, you know what, fuck it, just pick posts. And like playing with fighting games. Fighting games are a hard genre to get into.
No, they're not.
And to be honest with you, it's very mentally like tasking on the game if you're not always...
You know what? I'll boil it down to one sentence. Fighting games are still video games. Just play them. Just play the video game.
Always winning. I've had moments like that with fighting games. I'm like, bro, I'm losing too much. I don't play this shit no more. Or like, I'm losing a lot. I can't identify why I'm losing a lot, and now I got a headache, and then I just turn this shit off. I might not even play it for the next day because that mental stress of me trying to figure it out and not understanding is frustrating.
Okay, hold on. I think this is the beginning of the sentence I went back on.
I understand. I agree with y'all, especially early on when I was playing fighting games. If one of your partners on a team is of a veteran player in fighting games,
if one of your partners on the team is a veteran player,
and veteran loosely, like have knowledge to put stuff together and figure out stuff, it is not a fun time for that player. Rather,
it's not a fun time for the veteran? Are we talking about under the pulse system? Okay.
New players probably having fun if they're using posts because they just hitting things and things are happening, which that's the...
Yeah, playing against people who are not playing the same game as you sucks. When you give, like, only certain people auto combos, if not everybody's playing on the same playing field, which, you know, giving players auto combos when you have a choice to not have auto combos means that the playing field is unleveled. So, you know, you and your opponents are not playing the same game. So, yeah, you're not going to have fun. That's natural. That applies to every game that has obnoxious auto combos. Yes.
Point of it. Then again, when they lose, they get mad, demoralized because they're like, damn, he playing on the auto combo stuff and still losing because it just feels very jarring to play. I've seen that a lot already from the game across the board.
Yeah. Losing to people who are slamming their face on their controller sucks. It's not a good feeling. But, you know, this whole era of auto combos and comeback mechanics and shit like that, it's all about getting new players to, like, get into the fighting games and win against veterans, right? Is this not what we wanted? Isn't this exactly what we were aiming for? Like, losing to people who didn't put any work into learning how to play the game? Isn't that the goal? And now that we're here, we want to complain? How, like, what is it? I don't understand. I don't get it. Like, I'm probably the #1 auto combo hater on the planet. But every time I speak against auto combos, I get shit on by everybody. Like, but now we've hit the oasis. Now we've hit Nirvana, and now new players who haven't put a licking of time into the fighting game can now beat people who play fighting games all the time. They can win now. because they have this big obnoxious auto combo. They can slam their face on the controller, and they can win games. Is that not, like, was that not the goal? This is the experience. This is the experience that Riot and every other fucking dev that has come out and said that we want to even the playing field between newcomers and veterans. This was the goal all along. This shit that you're feeling, this is what they wanted. And now we're upset. Now we don't like it. Okay.
And here's my solution on it. At first, I think the fuse system in 2XKO should be tied to whatever the character's player picks, meaning everybody gets a fuse, but then that'll make shit too broken. Right now,
I agree. That would be busted. That's probably a bad idea. How about let's get rid of the pulse? Let's get rid of the pulse fuse. Make people learn the fucking game. Oh no, that's this gatekeeping. Oh no, you're not letting people who newbies to the fighting game get into, like, shut up. We all got into fighting games the same fucking way. We put the disc in the console, we put the cartridge in the console, and we pressed buttons. Or we put a quarter in the fucking arcade machine and we pressed buttons. Shut up. There was nothing about, like, arcade games and early fighting games that made it difficult for us to get into. None of this shit existed. These problems that you're talking about people, like, not able to get fighting games, you're lying. You're lying through your teeth. Just play the game. Just play the video game.
and we got Ori with a broke back assist that works like Vegeta Dragon Ball Fighters assist from season 1. I personally think it would be kind of cool but chaotic, because it's like I just want to see the bullshit in tag games. That's why tag games are cool to me, but I understand that's a little too far, especially having somebody with 2x assist and then double down. My another solution for fixing posts is making it a more of a control scheme that can be selected very similar to the modern control scheme in Street Fighter.
Fucking mosquitoes. Weren't you the same person who, like, uploaded a video a while back about how people were clowning you for using modern controls? And you had all these excuses that didn't really amount to anything about why you played modern controls? Why would you wish that upon other people? It's not like that's gonna go away. Like, that's still a debate that's going... I don't even call it a debate. That's still like a conflict that we have for Street Fighter 6. You know? Like, that's still a thing. Why would you want that for newcomers? Doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. I feel like people don't really appreciate the games that they're playing. Like, your proposed method for getting people into fighting games is to change the game entirely. Make it a different control scheme. Play a different game then! Like, what the hell are we talking about? Come on, YouTube. What the fuck?
Control scheme in Street Fighter.
Like, modern controls is still bullshit. Like, all this shit applies to modern controls. You're also cheating. Like, yeah, you are also cheating in Street Fighter 6 if you're playing modern controls. Like, yeah, I know that there is a trade-off. Yeah, you're losing normals, but you're gaining one button, like, one frame, one button specials. That's bullshit. You should not have access to that. No character should have access to that. Street Fighter is not designed around the concept of people being able to instantly do supers and specials. It's not. It just isn't. There's nothing about Street Fighter 6 that is designed to counterbalance the benefits of having instant one-button specials. Because Street Fighter has historically have always designed their special moves with the inputs in mind. If you're doing a DP in Street Fighter, you have to press forward. Forward and down. Down, forward. Down, forward is the most vulnerable position that you can be. Because not only are you not blocking, but you are also crouching. So you're susceptible to overheads, you're susceptible to getting hit by a jump, you're susceptible to all types of shit, and you're not blocking. But, if you do the input, and you press the button, you get an invincible anti-air. So if somebody's coming at you from the air to take advantage of your most vulnerable position, you have access to a move that gives you the ability to knock them out of the air in a safe manner. It's cheating if you're just sitting there in perfectly safe, in no kind of position where you have to worry about getting hit by anything on the ground or out of the air, and you're just able to shit out a special move that's invincible, equally as invincible as anything else, and the only penalty that you take for it is a little bit of damage. Fuck you! No! No! You're not supposed to have access to that shit. That's why modern controls are ass. That's why modern controls is cheating. You literally have tools that go against the design of Street Fighter. And the reason why I don't say this about other one-button special games, because those one-button special games are designed with one-button specials in mind. Yeah. That's why we're not talking about one-button specials in 2XKO, because that game was designed with one-button specials in mind. But we're not talking about one-button specials. We're talking about auto-combos. We're talking about once you get the hit, you just get to shit out damage for free. Without learning, and without putting any time or learning anything about the fighting game. These are two different things. But they both suck. They're both terrible solutions. That's why we don't like modern controls.
6, but I definitely think Street Fighter 6 has mastered a simplistic control scheme for a player base, as well as giving them the opportunity to still play the game in a normal manner. Then I realized that playing with new people, trying to get people into this game, I feel like Riot has an oversight on that because they're failing the mission of 2XKO.
I don't know what the fuck is going on with YouTube today. Just won't load. I just reset my computer too. Let's try this again.
I've been playing 2XKO, supposed to be a tag fight. Hydrogen bomb in the to still play the game in a normal manner.
You're not playing the game in a normal manner at all. That's the whole point. And even if you want to argue that you are, what is modern controls actually doing for you then? What is the difference between someone playing modern controls and someone playing classic? Literally, really sit and think about it. I'm giving you time to think, because, really think about it. It's either nothing, or, the slightest itty-bitty bit of advantage that's just enough to be, bullshit and aggravating to fight against, but justifiable so that, oh, well, I'm losing all my normals, and, I take a little bit, I get a damage penalty, so I don't do as much damage. It's yeah, but you have access to these tools that literally aren't meant to exist in this game. They're counterintuitive to the game's design. That by itself is already not fair. If you're doing 0 damage, that's bullshit. I can't jump. If I'm fighting against someone who has an invincible anti-air special move, in modern controls, jumping is completely removed from the table. You can't jump. Ever. You can never jump. this entire movement option just out of the way for you. And even if their anti-air does 0 damage, just the fact that this entire movement option is completely removed from my of anything that I can do against someone with modern controls, already busted. That's the whole point. You have access to tools that you shouldn't have access to. You're not playing the same game. Like, you're not playing the same game as I am. And that's why we don't like it.
Then I realized that, like, playing with new people, like, trying to get people into this game, I feel like Riot has an oversight on that because they're failing the mission of 2xKO. I always believe 2xKO is supposed to be a tag fighter, but heavy big on accessibility, especially for new players. And a lot of times, when new players play with their friends, they usually have a friend that's slightly better than them or even completely remotely better than them altogether. And then even then, when it comes to people learning how to use any other version outside of Post, it is very taskily demanding, especially if they don't know how tag games work.
Okay. This is directed at you, Avatar. You need to complete your thoughts. I don't know what you're saying. You're saying, you gave me like 3 completely separate sentences that don't end out in a point. Let's go through this again. I want you to hear what I'm hearing. I'm not making fun of you, but like, you really gotta start, like, choosing your words.
Like, trying to get people into this game, I feel like Riot has an oversight on that because they're failing the mission of 2xKO.
They're failing the mission of 2xKO. Why?
I always believe 2xKO is supposed to be a tag fighter, but heavy big on accessibility.
What part of anything you've said so far goes against that? It is a tag fighter. It is heavy on accessibility. It has the pulse system.
Especially for new players. And a lot of times when...
Yeah, and you just move on to a new point. You need to finish the thought. Like, I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're getting at. Like, you've already moved on to a new thing. Like, I thought it was a tag fighter that's using accessibility, but what? Like, how is it not? You just described how it is this whole time. You're just saying that, like, it sucks. It's like, okay, I get that it sucks, but, like, what are we talking about here? Like, what? Finish the thought.
Tag fighter, but heavy big on accessibility, especially for new players. And a lot of times when new players play with their friends, they usually have a friend that's slightly better than them or even completely remote.
How is that 2xKO's fault? Like, how is that 2xKO's problem? That people who have, like, that's like like, what is the point of bringing this up? You think everybody who's going to play this game is going to have a friend playing with them of equal skill, of exact perfect equal skill? Somebody is going to be better than the other person. Like, yeah, that's pretty much inevitable. Like, if you have a guy who's new to fighting games, and you have a guy who's been playing fighting games for a long time, and they play together in 2xKO, it's like, okay, one person is better than the other. But, like, even if, let's say, if the person who's new to fighting games is better than the guy who's been playing fighting games for a long time, it's like, yeah, one of them is still better than the other. What is the point? This doesn't mean anything. This whole, what is the point of even bringing this up?
Big on accessibility, especially for new players. And a lot of times when new players play with their friends, they
100% of the time
usually have a friend that's slightly better than them or even completely remotely better than them altogether. And then even then when it comes...
And then you move on to another point, like, what was the point? Like, what are you saying? I don't understand what you're talking about.
Sometimes when new players play with their friends, they usually have a friend that's slightly better than them or even completely remotely better than them altogether. And then even then when it comes to people learning how to use any other version outside of Post, it is very taskily demanding, especially if they don't know how tag games work.
Just play the game. Just play the video game. Oh my god. Just play the game. Just play it. Stop trying to figure shit out. Like, if you're new to the fighting game, stop trying to figure out the fighting game and just play it. Oh my god. This is not a problem that ever existed for anyone else. ever who was in fighting games. They just started playing. They decided whether or not they enjoyed the game, and they just continued playing it. That's it. That's the beginning and end of it. Like, there's nothing else to it. And like, you guys are expecting way too much out of an alpha. Like, there's no single player mode in this alpha. The only thing you're able to do is play against other people online. And most of the people playing online are people who, and especially in this closed alpha, where people got like where there were limited codes given out, and obviously people who are like content creators, people who are in the FGC, got priority on these codes. So like, most of the people, the vast majority of people who are playing this game are people who play fighting games. So there's nothing to do in the game except for get your ass beat by veterans. Like, what? You can't expect this game to fulfill its mission when the game's not even out yet. The game's not even released. Like you said earlier, and you're gonna say again later that like, oh, it's an alpha, but you expect all this shit. Like, we haven't even gotten, like, of course we're not talking about things like bugs and glitches and shit that needs to be ironed out. We know all that shit needs to be fixed. But you're talking about, like, the game's systems, and you're talking about, like, things that are going to be in the game when the game releases. You know, like, they might nerf the pulse combos, but the pulse fuse is going to be there. Like, it's going to be there. You haven't even talked about, you still haven't explained why the pulse system is a problem. And all you've described is the same problem that every other auto combo system has in every other fighting game. It's the same shit. There's nothing uniquely terrible about Pulse in this game. It is literally just the same exact problems as auto combos in every other fighting game, but apply to this. And like, I don't know what we're talking about. Like, why do you expect new players to be able to... Why would you expect new players to be able to pick up a fighting game and play it and enjoy it just because they have big-ass combos? Why do people still, to this day, believe that the only way people can enjoy fighting games is if they're doing long, fucked-up combos? How are we it's 2024! How do we still not understand this shit? Like... Has no one been paying attention to the last, like, 30 plus years, 40 plus years of fighting game development? Like, you think people thought that, like, oh, well, Street Fighter 2 is one of the greatest fighting games of all time because it has long combos? No! Because it was fun! It was a fun video game that came out back in fucking 1980-something. That's it. Why is that so hard to grasp? Why do people not understand that is still true? Like, a fighting game is just fun because fighting games are fun. It's the FGC that's putting this burden on the new players that they need to learn how to play, or they need to like be on the same level as people who've been playing fighting games for years. It's like, how? That's not fucking possible. I mentioned this in another video where, like, we're trying to fucking bridge the gap between new players and veterans. It's like, you can't. It's not possible. Like, you just can't do it. Don't bridge the gap. Cultivate the land between the gaps. That's my motto on this shit.
This is why I said it's an alpha early in the video, because the game doesn't have necessarily a good tutorial. When a game...
It's a fighting game. I don't even agree with fighting games needing tutorials. Pick up the controller, press buttons, attacks will come out. Play around with it. Is it going to get you... Are you going to get good at the game? No. Doesn't matter. That doesn't fucking matter. It'll get you playing it. That's all that matters. That's the only important part. You don't need people to learn how to fucking be competitive in a fighting game right off the bat. You just need to get people to play the game. press buttons, attacks will come out. That's the only tutorial you need. And even if you disagree with that point, why aren't you teaching your friends how to play the game? You are the tutorial, especially in this. It's a 2v2 fighting game. You're being paired with someone else. That is your partner. You are the one who has to help them learn how to play the game, if you insist on making them get good at the fighting game immediately. That's your fault. Stop expecting the game to teach how to play the game for you. The whole point of fighting games is you're supposed to sit down, and you're supposed to play it. And you're supposed to learn how to play it over time. Over your time of playing the game. There's no point in spoon feeding you the information that we veteran FGC players have. Because none of that shit's going to matter to new players. It doesn't fucking matter. They're not going to be able to do this shit right off the bat. Like, it's a community-driven genre. Like, if you're not playing in arcade mode, like, because if you're playing a single-player mode, then who cares? But if you're playing with other people, and you have, like, a large-ass community of people playing together, why aren't people teaching each other how to play fighting games? Why do you expect the game to teach you how to play it? Like, come on. That's your fault. Like, it's only your fault that people aren't learning the game well enough. You're not teaching them. They're your partners. You're the tutorial.
Comes out, if you play Valorant, you know how great their tutorial is, even on console version that recently just dropped from beta to now. I also personally find, as a player, I know how to use them to a lot of degrees. I personally feel like the few systems...
I don't play shooters like that, but shooters are not complicated. I don't see why people, like, in the first-person shooter community ever... you know what I never hear from the shooter... You know what I never hear from any community of any other genre of video game? Oh, this X genre of video game is so hard to get into. I've never heard someone say that to me in my life. I only don't play shooters because I don't like shooters all that much. But if you get me playing a shooter, it's not that complicated. Press trigger, shoot gun. Press button, throw grenade. If your game has, like, powers and skills, press a different button, use power, or use skill. It's that fucking simple. Am I good at it? No! I don't expect to be good at it. I don't play shooters. I don't expect to be able to 360 no-scope people on my first day of playing. I don't care to learn that shit. I don't find shooters fun. But if you really get me to play a shooting game, it's not that deep. I'm not going to be, like, pulling my hair out saying shit like, oh, I keep dying. Oh, I can't get any kills. I know I'm trash. I'm fully aware that I'm trash at these games. I'm here to play a game. I'm here to play a video game. I have no interest in getting good at shooters. I'm really not. But, like, you don't have to give me a tutorial. I played the Banjo-Tooie FPS multiplayer mode back in 1990 something. That was like one of the very first shooting games I ever played because I just avoided shooters all the way up until then. And I'm pretty sure, I don't remember the control scheme of that game, but I'm pretty sure it's not all that different from Valorant today. You probably have some extra weapons here and there, but, like, it's as simple as look, direction, pull trigger, shoot gun. It's not that complicated. Press buttons, do attacks, see what works. Just play the game.
It goes from, like, you a baby to hydrogen bomb in the other variants outside of Pulse. If I had to make a quick tier list of the Fuse system in 2XKO, it'd go like this. So Pulse is the beginner, okay, and then everything else is like advanced, intermediate, plus. Unlocking both players to the post is frustrating. I don't know, maybe I might be overreacting to it, and maybe it's like it's a small...
Yes. Yes, you are. You absolutely are. It's not that deep. Just tell people to stop picking Pulse. It's that simple. The easiest way to fix your problem is to get people to actually engage with the fighting game. Problem solved. And, like, who does it hurt? Who does it hurt to get, like, someone to spend a little bit of extra time actually, like, learning what their buttons do? And, like, why do you care about winning? There's no rank system. You're in an alpha. Who gives a shit about winning? Play the game. Play the fucking video game, okay? God, like, the fact that you're trying to win in an alpha is already gross. Like, just enjoy it. Especially coming from a person who can't play the game. I'm mad. I'm salty as fuck because I can't get into the game. It's only my fault I didn't take the survey. But, like, it's frustrating listening to people talk about how they're not enjoying this game for reasons that, like, they shouldn't enjoy any other game with auto combos, but they insist on people that they should enjoy games with like that when they're actively trying to not be enjoyable. But for some reason, this is unacceptable. This specifically. Which I have a theory on that. I do have a theory on that, but that's a different conversation.
Oversight that I'm not thinking about, or Riot maybe did it, but I do think that, like, they need to have more customization with those people, because then, like, it's forcing both players to play the game the exact same way with the fuse system. I have to reiterate that it's still an alpha, but a little bit me inside wants to say Riot kinda misjudged or took a huge misstep with the post fuse into XKO. Let's look at Valorant.
Let's not. Let's stop looking at other genres of game and comparing to fighting games. Let's not do that. They're not the same. Don't even try to compare. I'm going to skip this. I don't want to hear anything you have to say about that, because nothing that'll come out of your mouth involving comparing two genres of game that aren't related to each other in any way, shape, or form, it's not going to make sense. Whatever it is.
And it hurts because I feel like it's going to get to a point to where I want to play with my new friends that want to get into fighting games, but I'm no longer having fun being locked to the post fuse. Does overall kill my enjoyment, or A, splits the player base up, at least between my group of friends, because I don't want to use post fuse and I have to just go play with people that already have somewhat of an idea on how to do things in the game.
Explain to me why your friends are not interested in learning how to play the game. It sounds like these are people that you're kind of just shoehorning into this game because they're obviously not fighting game players. If they were fighting game players, then they wouldn't have a problem not picking Pulse. So you're forcing people who don't play fighting games, or probably don't enjoy fighting games for whatever reason, to play a game that they don't enjoy, and you're shooting yourself in the foot by trying to force them into something that they don't care for. This is not how you get new people into fighting games. It's not how you do it. Or, I guess, more accurately, these are not the kind of people that you can get into fighting games with auto combos. It's not. They're not interested in playing the fighting game. That's it. Like, they're telling you that because, like, that's what they're telling you. The fact that they would rather use an auto combo system and hinder your experience. Like, did you explain this to them? Did you explain the fact that, like, oh, well, if you use auto combos, then I'm stuck with auto combos, and that fucks me up, and that way, like, I'm not having a good experience, and you're not really experiencing the game for what it is. So it's like, it'll be better if you just learned the controls or just freeballed it. Let's pick a different fuse. Have you tried that? Because if not, then it's your fault. But if so, these are the wrong people that you're pairing up with. Like, this is not how you get people into fighting games. You, like, if I were to suggest an alternative, just show them how cool the characters are and have them look at their moves. Try to teach them how fun it is to craft your own combos on your own. Because there's nothing satisfying about doing a single combo and landing a big fat combo. Even for new players. It just doesn't... That's not how you get them in. Sure, they'll get some mileage off it, but how long is that going to last? How long is that going to keep them invested in the game? Because inevitably, what's going to happen... Since people are only using autocombos, since new players are only using autocombos, the people who are not mashing buttons and are paying attention to their opponent, all they got to do is sit there and wait for you to mash your buttons and then punish you to death. And now all of a sudden you're getting your ass beat, despite the fact that you have autocombos, and now you're not having fun again. What have we accomplished? Now you got more pissed off people who don't want to touch fighting games ever again because they thought that autocombos was going to get them into it, and it didn't give them the victory that they wanted, so now they think the whole genre is busted. And that's after you've already told them that fighting games are hard. So, like, it's a double whammy of the FGC and fighting game devs trying to sabotage the genre from the inside out. Stop telling people that fighting games are hard. It's a lie. It's not true. Just play the video game. That's the easiest solution to all of this shit. Whoops.
Essentially, they failed at making it an option, more so feeling like you're damned if you do or you don't. And I already kind of am indifferent on the fuse system a little bit, because it makes the tag game, and then it just like takes bits and pieces of it and makes it like a mechanic. And I don't know how I truly feel about it in longevity, but like
I don't know what you could possibly be trying to say. That was the weirdest sentence I ever heard. Just moving on.
like this game's amazing, but I don't want to keep rambling about this, but this is a quick little video about my thoughts on at least that. I'll go into a more in-depth video when I get the full game out, when the full game does come out, whenever. If y'all enjoyed the video, make sure y'all hit the like button, subscribe.
This closed alpha should have been exclusively fighting game veterans and content creators. They should not have put new players into this thing, because, like, for closed alpha, absolutely not. When an open beta shows up, absolutely, let everybody in, let everybody have fun. But like for a closed beta, if somebody checked on their on the survey that they don't play fighting games, you shouldn't have given them the code, because you put them in for a miserable time. Because the only people who are going to be playing these games are, I wouldn't even call them sweatlords, people who are just experienced in playing fighting games, and the pull system is not going to get people to want to play the game anymore. It just gives them a little bit more mileage when they're playing against other people who are still trying to figure out the game. But that's it. That's a temporary fix. That's probably not even going to last in the first couple of weeks when the game finally releases. And we're still a year or so away from that happening. The pull system needs to go. Just get rid of it. Just don't have it in the first place. Let people engage with the mechanics that you created. It makes no sense to me to make this fighting game that's all about freedom of expression and unlocking the fun. One of the Canon twins said that early on in one of the Evos. The game is about unlocking the fun, but then you're granting us shortcuts to how to skip all the fun to get straight to the instant gratification. There we go. That's the word. Get rid of it. It doesn't serve anything. It doesn't serve anything towards the game in the genre as a whole. This whole auto combo crusade needs to stop. It really do. It does nothing for the genre. It only makes things worse. And this is proof. Like, Avataryaya, unfortunately, is the prime example of why autocombos and accessibility mechanics don't work. Not the, helping disabled people play fighting games accessibility, but just the, let's simplify the game to make it easier to play. Because you know what's funny? I think the only reason why modern controls got away with, like, existing, and only about, like, a minority of people saying that that modern controls suck, the only reason why they got away with it is somehow they gaslit people into not talking about how much it kind of disrupts the design of Street Fighter as a whole. I think the positive word of mouth that modern controls have had has basically spoken it into fruition. I still have lots of problems with modern controls existing in Street Fighter. If it was any other fighting game, if it was a fighting game that had instant one-button special moves in mind, like Grand Blue, completely different story. Game was made with those mechanics from the ground up. Street Fighter is not that. And no part of Street Fighter 6 has changed to accommodate for a system like that. And that's why modern controls are bad. But nobody really thinks this deep about fighting games and game design. So somehow we've gotten to a place where people are talking very positively about modern controls. And now all of a sudden it's like the greatest accessible system that ever existed. Even though it doesn't really do much, but just enough. Just enough to be cheating. But not enough to feel like cheating. But every other auto combo system that has existed, like, nah, apparently those are unacceptable. Even though it's the same thing. It's the same exact, like, goal that they're trying to accomplish with these systems. And I think the goal itself is stupid. Just make the game look cool. Just make the characters look cool. Make the game not feel like shit. That's why I kind of hate Melee now. Melee feels like shit to play compared to the newer Smash games. That's all you gotta do. Fuck tutorials. Just play the video game. We need to remind people that fighting games are ultimately video games and you should just play them. The only way to get into them is to just play them. And stop worrying about ranking up or winning or learning the optimal combos and trying to beat people who are like who've been playing the game for years. Just play it. Holy fuck. Like, just play the video game.
And I'm out. Peace.
No offense to you, Avataryaya. I understand everything that you're saying. I understand where you're coming from with all this, but you also have to understand what you're saying means and what it sounds like from the outside looking in. You're frustrated with the concept of auto combos as a whole, and I don't think you understand. I don't think you've kind of digested that yet. The pulse system needs to not exist. I think it will only be positive for the game. At this point, it's probably too late. I think at this point, if the game comes out and the pulse system is removed, then people are going to be pissed off. If it never existed, if they never put in anything like a pulse system from the beginning, it wouldn't have been a problem. But now we've created a problem because now people are expecting that they can just jump into the game, press a single button, and win, and that's not true. We've lied to these players. In the same way that we keep telling people that fighting games are hard, and the devs are making an effort to make fighting games easier, that's all a lie. None of it is true. They may mean it. They probably wholeheartedly want what they're saying to be true, but they just don't understand that it's just not. What they're doing is not doable. And they keep trying to do it. You can't bridge the gap between newcomers and veterans. That's just the nature of people spending a lot of time doing a thing. When you spend a lot of time doing a thing, you get better at it. This, like, giving people big fat combos isn't going to keep people into the fighting game. It's the feedback of, I want to try to do a thing, and I either succeed or fail, and then I make the choice whether I want to continue pursuing it or not. And if the game is fun, more than likely they're going to keep trying. But if your game sucks, or if there's something very frustrating that, like, makes people not want to play the game anymore, like getting completely mauled by people who pay any ounce of attention to what's going on the screen, then, yeah, that's probably going to get them to quit. But that's not a problem for devs to solve. That's a problem for the person to solve for themselves, to decide whether or not they want to continue playing fighting games, or it's on the community to make fighting games more accessible. And I'm not talking about making it easy for them to win. I'm not talking about making it, not making it easy for them to win. But I'm talking about encouraging people to playing the game at all. That's it. That's my ultimate moral of the story. Play the video game. That's all you need to do.